What is the significance of nature for you? Nature provides various economic resources as well as has aesthetic value, right? You might have seen colorful flowers having butterflies sitting on them. Can you decide if a flower is more attractive or a butterfly? You already know that brightly colored petals, nectars, and the aroma of flowers attract the insects for pollination, right? Let me ask you a question here. Do all the pollens that fall on a stigma germinate? In other words, does pollination always leads to fertilization? Is it always a successful event? The answer is no. Successful pollination requires the falling of compatible pollen grain on compatible stigma only. But then how do flowers recognize if the landed pollen grains are compatible or not? Recognition of pollen grains for their compatibility is the function of the pollen and is mediated by pollen-pistil interaction. Let us discuss what is pollen-pistil interaction and how it determines if pollination should be successful or not. Before discussing pollen-pistil interaction, let us recall a few concepts. Pistil or carpel is the female reproductive part of a flower and include stigma, style and ovary. During pollination, pollen grains falls on the stigma. Depending on the plant species, the pollen grains are two-celled or three-celled. Two-celled pollen grains have a vegetative cell and a generative cell, while the three-celled pollen grains have one vegetative cell and two male gametes. The stigma, pollen wall and inner lining of the style have a coating of some specific chemicals. Recall that pollen grains are the first cell of the male gametophyte, while the pistil has the female gametophyte. So, the chemicals of gametophytic generations represented by pollen grains and sporophytic generation present on stigma and style of pistil interact with each other. You might ask a question here. What is the significance of this interaction? The interaction between these chemicals determined if the pollen grains are compatible or not. The incompatible pollen grains are recognized and inhibited from germinating to form the pollen tubes. On the other hand, the compatible pollen grains are allowed to germinate to form the pollen tubes. Now, plants have self-incompatibility to prevent self-pollination. The interaction between the chemicals of the pollen wall and pistil also recognizes the self-incompatible pollen grains and prevent their germination on the stigma. Here is a doubt. Once the compatible pollen grains are recognized, what happens next? Let us discuss. The compatible pollen grains germinate on the stigma. Germination of the pollen grains means that its vegetative cells forms a thin pollen tube that grows through one germ pore and moves through style to reach the ovary. Can you tell me the function of the pollen tube? The pollen tube carries the male gametes to the ovary for fertilization. Here, you should know that the generative cells of a two-celled pollen grains divide to form two male gametes. This division occurs when the pollen tube is formed on the stigma and then the male gametes are carried to the ovule by the pollen tube. In the case of a three-celled pollen grain, the pollen tube is already carrying the two male gametes. Here, you might ask a question. Pollen grains have germ pores to allow the growth of pollen tubes. But what about the ovule? How does a pollen tube enters an ovule? We know that an ovule has an embryo sac in which an egg cell and two cynogeds are present in the form of an egg apparatus. The cynogid have filiform apparatus present at the micropylar end. In addition to the egg apparatus, the embryo sac also has 3 antipodals present at the chalazal end and one central cell consisting of 2 polar nuclei. Now, the pollen tube enters the ovule through the synergids present at the micropylar end. The filiform apparatus of the synergids releases signals to facilitate the entry of the pollen tube into the ovule and synergid. Once inside the ovule, the pollen tube releases the 2 male gametes for fertilization. Now, among all the mentioned events so far, which one is called pollen-pistil interaction? Any guess? The series of events starting with the landing of pollen grains on the stigma followed by recognition of compatible pollen grains, their acceptance, growth of pollen tube and its entry into the ovule together constitute the pollen-pistil interaction. Now let me ask you a question here. Pollination is a natural process. Plants have a mechanism called pollen-pistil interaction to recognize the compatible pollen grain. This means that pollination is a random event and any compatible pollen grain can pollinate a stigma, right? But what if a plant breeder wants to pollinate a stigma with pollen grains from a selected parent plant only? Is it possible to control the process of pollination in a way that only the desired pollen grains falls on the compatible stigma? The process in which only the desired pollen grains are allowed to pollinate a stigma is called controlled pollination. Controlled pollination is performed by the plant breeder to produce a hybrid plant progeny having the desired feature of selected male and female parent plants. For instance, pollen grains from a tomato species pollinate the stigma of the other tomato species to obtain the hybrid tomato plants having the disease-resistant gene from the male parent and longer shelf life of fruit from the female parent. When the crossing between 2 plant species to obtain the hybrid progeny is performed by humans, it is called artificial hybridization. Now here is a question. How is controlled pollination done in artificial hybridization to ensure the falling of desired pollen grains on the selected stigma? Let's discuss. Controlled pollination during artificial hybridization includes 2 main steps. These are emasculation and bagging. Let us discuss them one by one. Emasculation is the removal of anther from the flower bud of the selected female plant. It is done before the dehiscence of anther so that the pollen grains are not released to fall on the stigma of the flowers. Can you tell why emasculation is done? The anther is the site of production of pollen grains, right? So, when a female parent plant has bisexual flowers that have both male and female reproductive parts, the male reproductive part is to be removed so that its stigma does not receive the undesired pollen grains. Therefore, emasculation ensures pollination of the stigma of the bisexual flowers of the female parent plant by the pollen grains of the selected male parent plant. Now I have a doubt here. Even if emasculation of the bisexual flower of a female parent plant is done, what if pollen grains from other source pollinate their stigma? You are right, and this is why the bagging of emasculation flowers is done. Bagging of emasculated flower means that it is covered with a bag. The bag is generally made up of butter paper and should be of appropriate size. Once the stigma of the bagged flower becomes mature and receptive, the bag is removed and the mature pollen grains from the selected male parent plants are dusted on it. The flower is again covered with the bag so that the dusted pollen grains germinate and the subsequent event leads to the formation of fruits. You might ask a question here. Emasculation is done if the female parent plant has bisexual flowers. But what if it produces unisexual flowers that have either male or female reproductive parts but not both? If the female parent plant produces unisexual flowers, emasculation is not required for controlled pollination. The female flowers of the female parent are bagged before they open, and the pollen grains from the selected male parents are dusted once their stigma become mature and receptive. It is then followed by rebagging to allow the fruit formation. Now that you have learned about the formation of male and female gametes in flowering plants and pollination, can you tell me what is the next step? You already know that a pollen tube carries two male gametes to the ovule. What happens to these male gametes? Do both of them fertilize a single egg cell? If only one male gamete fuses with the egg cell, what happens to the other male gamete? We'll discuss the process of fertilization in flowering plant in the next session and find out the answer. Let's now summarize what we have learned.
Manorama Horizon, learning made simple.